In this video, I will explain the reasons why I switched to Proton and give my honest opinion about what has been the greatest benefits, but also the biggest frustrations in the process. I'll also tell you about my own real-world experience of how I made the switch to the almost full suite of Proton products, along with the greatest benefits that I've experienced with Proton. And last but not least, stick around to learn how to avoid the same time-consuming mistakes that I made when starting my Proton journey. But what is Proton? In short, Proton is a privacy-first company that delivers a secure email client, a password manager, cloud storage, VPN, and calendar. The company is based in Switzerland, which has some of the world's strongest privacy laws. They promise end-to-end encryption, so it's you and only you who can see your data. First of all, I had 4 good reasons to make the switch to Proton. Price wasn't my first priority, but it turned out I could actually save money using Proton, which I'll show you more about in a second. I was using Gmail and realized I needed to take my privacy more seriously. With the current geopolitical situation, it made sense to move my digital services to Europe, where I'm also located. After using Proton now for 7 months, I've experienced that Proton simply makes my daily life easier. If you haven't already purchased Proton, then I'd be grateful if you used my affiliate link. It won't cost you anything, and it helps me create more free content on this channel. Let's begin with the price. Before, I was using several different services. Gmail, which is free, if you don't count the personal data they retrieve from scanning my emails. As you can see, Proton Mail both replaced my Gmail account and Google Workspace email, since you can add 3 custom domains in a Proton Unlimited plan. And with a maximum of 15 unique emails for those 3 domains, my needs are more than covered. Keeper Security was my password manager software, which I have no complaints about other than it being located in the US. Dropbox, which was the biggest expense at $9.99 a month on a yearly plan, isn't directly comparable since I got 2 terabytes of cloud storage and I only get 500 gigabytes of storage from a Proton Unlimited plan. But in fairness, Dropbox doesn't offer a smaller plan than 2 terabytes. Last but not least, for F-Secure VPN, I paid a bit over €4 a month. This makes a Proton Unlimited plan 60% cheaper than these alternatives. Plus, I get the extra added benefit of not sharing any personal data. To be fair, you can often find promo codes through influencers and get discounts on the first year and so on, so bear in mind that for the first year, the savings will oftentimes be smaller in comparison. If you purchase Proton Unlimited for 2 years, it costs €7.99 a month, which of course is even better. Be mindful that the 2-year plan can be quite hard to find on the website. However, after purchasing a monthly subscription, I found the offer in my Proton Mail settings in the subscriptions section. As I'd recommend to anyone, I started with a monthly subscription to test it out and get a sense of the quality and user-friendliness of the products. I began using Mail first, and it easily exceeded my expectations. I'll explain more about that later. Then I tested the password manager, since it's something I use on a daily basis, so the user experience was very important. Proton Pass, however, quickly showed itself as a solid product, so I kept going. Next, I took on Proton Drive. Here I had my first real hiccup, which I'll explain more about later in this video. And Proton Calendar, well, let's just say more on that later. Alright, let's begin with the benefits. In recent years, I've personally become more aware of the value of privacy. Also, I'm increasingly mindful that I'm not only responsible for protecting my own data, but also the data and privacy of my business's clients, which gives me an extra incentive to safeguard my data. And as I'd hoped, the first thing I started noticing after switching to Proton was that online ads became much more generic and less personalized. Another great benefit is the symbiosis between Proton Mail and the Proton Password Manager. It's extremely easy to create aliases, which protects my personal email addresses. If I ever begin receiving spam on an email alias, I'll just delete the alias and create a new one. I also get informed if a sender has issues with their own mail security. This makes me look professional when I inform a client about their email security issues. With the current geopolitical situation, I wanted to find a more protected place to store my files, emails, and passwords. Almost all of my services, from email to password manager to cloud storage, were located in North America, which has less regulation for tech companies than Europe, and in particular less regulation than Switzerland, where the Proton company is located. On top of that, Proton software is open source and therefore completely transparent and regularly audited and verified by third-party experts. The clearest benefit has been Proton Mail. It's a joy to use, and there's nothing I miss from Gmail. Of course, the fact that I'm protecting my data is a contributor, but the actual user experience with sending and receiving messages is just great. I found it was very easy to set up emails for my different domains. For the Proton Unlimited plan, I can set up 3 domains and 15 mail addresses, which fits my need perfectly. When the domains are connected through the DNS, I can make new email addresses on the fly. It's also easy for me to streamline my email setup with custom filtering, and the catch-all option is great when going from multiple email addresses to a few. I still wanted to receive my Gmail emails, which was very easy to import into my Proton Mail. This has the added benefit of removing all email trackers that otherwise tell senders and advertisers what I read and click on. I personally use Proton Mail in the browser on my PC because I feel it's convenient to open up the mail settings in another tab. Then I can make quick settings adjustments and quickly close the tab afterwards. But there's also installable programs for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. For my phone, I use the Android app, but iOS is of course also available. There are also options to set up your Proton Mail through Microsoft Outlook, Mozilla Thunderbird, or Apple Mail through something called Bridge when you have a paid plan. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a more thorough examination of the synergies between Proton Mail and PaaS in a later video. Proton VPN on mobile has been the most frustrating for me personally. Way too often the VPN has simply lost its connection while watching a YouTube video, which has forced me to disable the connection and reconnect again. I tried tweaking the settings again and again, but in the end I experienced that it gives the best connection by simply leaving all settings on auto. The last 2 months has been much more stable though. Contrary, the desktop app works flawlessly on both my laptop and desktop computers running Windows. At first I dismissed the Proton calendar since I thought it couldn't synchronize with other calendars. However, I just recently found out that there is a solution for this, which uses a combination of subscribing to an external calendar and sharing your Proton calendar for external viewing. The only caveat to this solution is that the synchronization frequency apparently is 4 hours, which for me sounds like a long time to wait. I might make a tutorial about this in the future, so let me know in the comments if you're interested. I had a big headache when switching from Dropbox to Proton Drive. I had moved all my files to Proton Drive without any issues on my desktop computer, and thought I'd save a lot of synchronization time on my laptop by moving my files manually from the Dropbox folder to the Proton folder before starting the sync. I've done that many times before with Dropbox and never had any issues. However, what happened was that when Proton started syncing, it made copies of every single file and folder instead. Every file had a duplicate file with name clash appended. It was a frustrating moment since I potentially had to delete every single duplicate file and folder, but luckily I found out that somebody had posted a solution on how to safely delete the extra files, which saved me many hours of tedious work. Thanks to Godisbullen on Reddit for the solution. I've added the link in the description. So my recommendation is, of course, to simply let Proton's synchronization do its work without being fancy like me, and preferably just letting your computer work overnight. One essential feature missing in Proton Drive is simply right-clicking a file on my desktop and choosing Copy Share Link, like Dropbox has had for years. Instead, I have to open Proton Drive in a browser, then find the file, and then I can choose to enable a link to share. It's a tedious process which I would like Proton to fix as soon as possible. Other than the before-mentioned frustrations, my experience with Proton has been very positive. While making this video, I've used Proton for 7 months, and I'm still very satisfied. My old subscriptions are now expiring one after another, and I'm happy to get reminded that I'm now more protected than before, all while paying 60% less a year. Not bad at all. So I hope this gives you a realistic impression of my Proton experience. This is it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, feel free to subscribe for more content like this. And remember, if you want to support this channel, I greatly appreciate you using my affiliate link when signing up. Let me know in the comments what other types of content you would like regarding Proton products. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.